I bought this Lexus LS430 knowing it had transmission damage, but that didn't scare me one bit. In my last video, we saw that this car didn't move forward.
My guess is it doesn't move forward.
And the transmission was leaking really bad. And it turns out this was caused by a front pump bushing that had spun out on the converter and leaked out all the fluid. And this ended up burning the forward clutch.
I'm surprised that this thing even moved backwards.
And that's all we know so far. But in this video, we're going to go through every part of this transmission and find some more troubling issues.
So we've run into another issue.
And hopefully we're able to come up with some savvy solutions, because at the end of this video, this car will drive again.
We're gonna give it hell, not really.
Now, in case you haven't seen the first video in this series, go watch it. I have another transmission that is exactly the same, and we'll be using parts out of it to make this one work. And by the end, it may be a few more parts than we expect.
And that's why being a hoarder isn't always bad.
Now, to get this thing back together, we're going to start from the bottom up. So step one is to assemble the low reverse clutch, and this piston and clutch retainer are not fun to get together. You may need a better tool than I have. Mine's homemade, but we got it to work.
There we go.
Now we can start stacking this transmission up one component at a time and rebuilding them as we go. First is the rear planet assembly, and it's basically just a bunch of gears, all of which spin pretty good right now. So there's not much to do to it except clean it up and stick it in the case. Then we have the brake drum, and I'm not talking about the one that goes on your wheel. This one holds both the brake clutches. They basically help out with engine braking and on downshifts. Both of these clutches were fine, so we're just going to clean them up, reseal the drum, and then stick it in the case.
The clutch has to come out. So now we're at the part where our next clutch is our forward clutch. And it's a good thing I got one out of this new transmission, because this one is really burnt up. I can't even get the hub out of this thing to even inspect the clutches, but I can already tell that they're smoked. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna come out. I'm gonna try to blow it out. Look at this thing, it's so hard to get out of there. I'm surprised this clutch is not seized up, and it may be. Goodness gracious, look at that. Oh my gosh. This is what happens when you don't have any fluid in your transmission. There's no lubrication, and your forward clutch is still applied, and the clutches just get smoked. I can't even get the clutches out. So this is just stuck like this forever.
While this forward and direct clutch drum were pretty clean and we really didn't need to do much to them, they weren't exactly the same part that came out of our transmission.
This transmission came out of an IS300, which has a 2JZ 3.0 liter inline six. Creates a lot of power, but obviously from stock, Toyota thinks the forward drum doesn't need 6 clutches. It only needs 5. However, in our transmission, in our forward drum, we had 6 clutches in it. It didn't matter because all 6 clutches of them turned into one big piece, and they have welded themselves to the drum. So this drum is pretty much toast. There's nothing I can do with it. I tried really hard to get these clutches out. As you can see, I even tried to cut them out. But they are literally welded to the drum. You can almost see the weld on the outside of it, right in there, where it has welded itself to the drum. This clutch pack got really, really, really hot from lack of fluid because it was leaking out the pump. So that thing is no good. We're gonna have to sacrifice one clutch here in our forward drum, which one clutch, what's it gonna do? You know, I'm not sure. Now the direct clutch right here, it has one extra clutch too. As you can see, the snap ring groove is a little higher, and that's the difference between the drums. The snap ring groove will be a little higher on the extra clutch pack. So we're gonna use the original direct drum, and we're going to use a 5-plate forward drum.
At the end of the day, we have to use this forward drum because we don't have another choice, and one less clutch shouldn't make that much of a difference. And I bet there's people running around with this same transmission in front of a 2JZ with twice the horsepower and this same exact forward drum in it, and it's working just fine. So we're just going to put together what we have.
Let's take these drums apart, change the O-rings, then we'll get it all put together and stack it up.
Now that we fixed this burnt forward clutch, everything's ready to go back in the car, right? Well, not so fast. When you're working on a transmission that had this much heat in it, odds are something else went wrong inside this unit.
So we found something else wrong, and we found one of these planet gears in the overdrive planet would not turn at all. And that's because it had a bad internal needle bearing inside of it. I guess this got too hot, started burning up the bearing. So we had to replace it. We were thinking we could just replace the whole planet, which would have been nice because we just need this gears or spin really nice. But unfortunately, the input shaft is not the same size. And that's because the pump stator is a little longer. And that's because the converter on the 3UZ is bigger than the converter on the 2JZ. That makes sense to you, right? Now you can tell by the size of the bell housings here. See how much bigger this one is than that one is. That means that we got to change each planet gear here, and there's only 4 of them, and this one was the worst one, but these over here don't feel terrific either. The only one that does feel okay is that one.
Now, planetary systems usually don't fail, and if they do, it's usually catastrophic. It looks like we caught this one just early enough where it wouldn't destroy this entire transmission. And once again, our spare parts transmission should save the day.
I think we can salvage this one by using what we have here and not having to buy anything else. So I'm going to show you how to change each planet gear here, how to get these pins out. As you can see, there's a little dial that goes in to hold the pins in, and then you can knock the pins out the bottom once you get that dial out. So I'm going to show you how to get this one out right here.
Now, swapping these gears over was a lot harder than it looks. We had to drive the pins out of these gears, which took us a little while to figure out how to do, but once we did, we were able to beat all these pins out, and then these little needle bearings came out, and they did not have any cages to hold them together. So we had to use some grease, line up every single bearing piece back together inside the gear on each of the 4 gears, then slide the pins through, get everything back together, and make sure it moved nicely.
Nice and smooth turning now.
Now that we got this forward drum where it should never slip again, and this planetary system where these gears are moving slick as glass, we can stack this thing up to our next problem. The front pump. Now I bought a used pump off of eBay, and this thing had been rebuilt with a new front seal and a new pump bushing.
And got a new pump. All right, this one came with a bushing in it.
Regardless of how good this front seal looks, I'll be installing a new one and gluing it in as I always do. As for the bushing, it looks pretty decent, so I'll just leave that alone. Now I'm hoping by putting a new front pump, I prevent this problem from ever happening again, and I'm not sure why it happened, but we'll maybe get to that in a later video. Now it is important to rebuild your pumps on the torque converter hub because it'll prevent the pump from whining and rubbing against the crescent, which is that little thing in between the gears right there. Now as you tighten it up, you want to make sure it still turns because if there's any wear inside the pump or on the gears, it will lock up as you tighten it up and will not turn. And if this pump doesn't turn, then you're going to have some serious problems. As I said before, this is the same pump that comes out of an A340, and I actually used a pump out of an A340 that I bought off of eBay. Now we still had to swap the stator over because this stator was a little larger on our A650 because of the bigger torque converter. And speaking of the torque converter, we cut that open and we found a little bit of a flaky clutch.
Oh no.
And that means that the clutch was starting to debond from the torque converter clutch piston, so we needed a new one. So we cut open another torque converter that I had at my shop, had the same clutch in it. It looked pretty decent, so we went ahead and installed it in our torque converter, welded it up, checked it for leaks, and everything was good to go. So now we got a good pump, we got a good forward drum, we got a good planetary system, and we got a welded up and ready to go torque converter. What else is left? Well, the thing that controls all of that, the valve body. Now these Toyota and Lexus valve bodies are famous for getting sticky valves, especially as they age and especially if they have a bunch of metal in the system. And this one didn't have that much metal in the system, so I'm expecting to find a few sticky valves, but hopefully everything's working pretty smoothly. It's important to know where everything goes inside these valve bodies if you plan to take them apart, so what I did is I just Googled A650 transmission and clicked on leaks until I found a rebuild manual. Now this is not recommended, so if you need some information, you can email me at justcallme81@gmail.com and I'll do the best I can to get you what you need. Now this valve body is actually not that hard to get apart. It's just nuts and bolts, really, 8mm bolts to be exact. And what I do is I lay a rag out, and each bolt I take out, I lay it on the rag in the corresponding order. Basically in the same place it'll be on the valve body in the same order. And I do this for all the bolts, and I lay that rag to the side until I'm done with the valve body. Now all we need to do inside this thing is make sure all the valves move freely. We just take a small screwdriver and make sure the valves move if we can get to them, and if we can't, we remove the valve and make sure it moves inside the bore. And every single valve inside this thing actually moved pretty free, so we didn't have to strip the whole thing down. Now sometimes that is necessary when these valves get sticky, and I've done it in some other videos, and you could check those out if you want to see how that works. As for the valve body gasket, we're going to leave it alone because it can be pretty tough to get off this plate, and if there's no rips or any damage on it, there's no use in changing it. Now all we have to do is make sure every little piece inside this valve body is exactly the way it should, and this manual I found online does a great job of showing how to put it back together. Once we get this valve body back together and torque everything down to 80 inch-pounds, we now have every transmission component rebuilt and ready to get this Lexus back on the road. Now we just have to do the final assembly and make sure everything is sealed up nicely. Now the final assembly is quite simple. We're just going to put everything back exactly the way it came apart. We got the overdrive clutch and the overdrive brake clutch, then we got the pump, and we're going to bolt that down and torque it down to about 80 inch-pounds. Then we set this thing on the bench and we get the tail shaft ready to go. We have to install the accumulators before the valve body, and do not forget these or the way the springs go. There's also another one that goes up in the right corner. Now we bolt the valve body and torque it down to, you guessed it, 80 inch-pounds, and we're about ready to get this thing installed. All we have left is the tail housing, and it has a sprag that splines into the back of it, and this is a pretty weird design, but also pretty nifty from Toyota. The tail housing gets siliconed on, but the pan has a gasket, and we bolt it down. Now we're ready to install this thing. All we have left is the bell housing and torque converter. But before we install anything in this car, we're going to remove the flywheel and replace the rear main seal.
There we go. Oh, oh man.
This is a no-brainer after this car is almost 20 years old, looks like it has a rear main seal leak, and we're right here at it. Now this thing is a rear-wheel drive transmission, so it's fairly easy to install, especially when you have a trans jack and a lift. Now all we got to do is jack the trans up into the car, line up the bell housing bolts and the torque converter bolts, bolt all that down, hook everything up on the transmission, put the subframe in, attach the drive shaft, and then put all the exhaust in. And now we're ready to drive this thing. But before we start this thing up, we want to make sure we put a transmission cooler on this thing. After this forward clutch got that hot, we want to make sure that this thing's running nice and cool. This cooler should keep it at about 180 to 190 degrees maximum.
I shouldn't be driving a Lexus when you're this dirty, but here I am.
I've been working on this thing so long, I almost forgot about the broken seat. That's going to make it not comfortable to drive, but I really want to see if this thing drives, so we're going to sit in it and drive it like this.
I tell you what, this seat is not fun. Look at me. Driving like an old lady. A little sticky when she pressed the brakes.
The road test started out a little sluggish, but as this thing warmed up, it seemed to drive better and better. But we got to remember, this is a 20-year-old vehicle that's been sitting for God knows how long.
Driving good so far.
I'm just glad we finally got this thing driving, and now we can worry about all the other issues that it has.
Downshifting and everything.
And boy, does it have a lot of them. In my next video, I'll show you how I completely rebuilt the torque converter on this thing, and then we'll dive into all the other issues, especially the engine performance ones, and we'll make sure that the transmission will never burn up again. Until then, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to this channel here, because that's where I post the most. You can also email me at justcallmeeddie1@gmail.com if you have any questions about your own projects. Thanks for watching, and whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you work hard, make sure you play hard, and most importantly, make sure you stay dirty. You can just call me Eddie.